The movie takes place in a bleak future where pollution and climate change have made the world dark and broken. In order to deal with this, the human body has changed in many ways. Some of them are the end of physical pain and sicknesses that spread from person to person. Also, because there isn't enough clean water and food, the digestion system of people has started to change. The movie starts with Brecken, an 8-year-old kid, playing at the beach. His mother, Juna, tells him not to eat anything he finds on the ground, even though he seems to be having a good time. This means that Brecken likes to eat things he shouldn't. After a while, he gets back home and goes to the bathroom to clean up. Brecken cleans his teeth first, then he washes his face. But then, to everyone's surprise, he sits down on the floor and starts eating the trash can that is there. His teeth are so sharp and well developed that he can easily chew the hard stuff. Even though Juna sees him, she doesn't say anything. It's clear that she's had enough of her son's strange behavior. So, at night, she chooses to do something about it herself. When little Brecken goes to bed, Juna walks up to him slowly and puts a pillow over his face. Brecken yells for help, but Juna suffocates him to death by pressing hard on the pillow. She doesn't show any sign of guilt or regret while she does this. After that, Juna sits on the toilet seat, calls her ex-husband Lang, and tells him she killed Brecken. She also says that she never thought of him as their son, but rather as a monster. She wants Lang to come home and take the boy's body away now that everything is over. Lang breaks down in tears as soon as Juna hangs up the phone. He is heartbroken that his only child has been taken away from him. Later that night, he goes to the house, but Juna is nowhere to be found. When he finally finds his son's dead body, he gets sad again and starts crying. The scene then moves to another place where a man named Saul is sleeping in a room that looks like a cage and is held up by a number of machines. We find out that he is in a lot of pain because he has a rare disease that comes from evolution. The main signs of the disease are trouble breathing and the intestines. To deal with this, Saul sleeps in a bed that looks like a cage. This helps him feel less pain. He sits on a special chair that twitches and spins when he wants to eat. This helps him digest the food. But it is a very painful process, and Saul doesn't feel like eating anymore. One morning, his girlfriend Caprice comes into the room while he is sleeping deeply and wakes him up. Saul says that his machine bed isn't working right and that he can't sleep all night because of it. Caprice tries to calm him down by telling him about the test results they just got back. She tells Saul that the pain he is feeling is because a new organ is growing inside him. She puts a black tube into his gut and looks at the new organ through it. Caprice tells him that she doesn't know what the part is exactly, but it looks like an adrenal gland. Then, she takes him to the National Organ Registry to register his new organ as a brand. Inside, they meet Whippet, who is in charge of the department, and Timlin, who is one of his helpers. Whippet tells the couple that Saul will not feel any pain at all when the new heart is fully grown. Then he goes to his office to work on some paperwork while the two women talk. Caprice tells Timlin that they are a performance artist couple when he asks what they do for a job. Most of the time, Caprice takes Saul's extra organs out in front of a live crowd as part of their shows. For their shows, they use tech that was made just for them. Later, Whippet and his helper tie Saul to a chair and start looking into his new organ. They also mark it so they can keep track of how it changes and what effects it has. Timlin stops Caprice from putting a camera on her ring and filming the whole thing, which she wants to do. Saul and Caprice leave after the procedure is done, but not before asking Timlin and Whippet to their future art show. In the next scene, two workers come to Saul's house to help him fix his bed and chair. They were made by the same company as these tools. The techs look around the house during their shift and find an advanced autopsy unit. One of the techs figures out that the unit is old and that the company stopped making it a long time ago. When she asks Caprice about it, Caprice says that it's the same machine that helps her and Saul put on their shows. The scene then jumps ahead quickly to the day of their art show. We see Saul sleeping inside the autopsy room, and Caprice is wearing a dark red dress with buttons on the front. During the operations on Saul, the buttons actually move the arms of the autopsy machine. There are a lot of people around them, like Whippet and Timlin. After a while, the show starts, and Caprice cuts through Saul with the help of the machine to reveal his newly grown organ. Even though the process is painful, Saul doesn't feel anything. He is actually loving every minute of it. When the show is over, the crowd cheers and says how happy they are to have seen such a great thing. Lang is seen eating a dark chocolate bar, so he must be one of them. Timlin goes up to Saul after the successful show and praises his ability. She even says that watching him made her feel horny. Saul tells her that he is glad he was able to make her feel that way. As they keep talking, Caprice sees them and starts to feel jealous. But she acts like a professional and doesn't step in. While this is going on, an unknown guy eats the chocolate bar Lang left behind and dies right away. The next day, Agent Cope talks to Timlin and Whippet about the case of Saul. He says he works for the government and is looking into the people who want to change their parts. But instead of giving away private information, Timlin excuses Saul by saying that he is only doing all of this for his shows. Saul also goes to a weird show where a performer has grown ears all over his body. Some of them have come out of his hands, legs, and even his private parts. After a while, when Saul was getting ready to leave, Lang showed up with a strange request. He wants Saul and his wife to put on a show where they take Brecken's body and do an autopsy on it. Lang says that inside the boy's stomach is a gift for them. When Saul hears this, he is interested and says he will think about it. He then walks away. Later, Saul goes home and talks with his girlfriend about the idea that Lang had given him. Caprice agrees right away, but she says they'll have to change their autopsy unit to do the job. Then, she lies down inside the machine and looks at the parts that need to be changed. Saul sneaks out of the house at night and meets Cop Cope. Then it comes out that he is working for the detective to find people who are changing their bodies without permission. Saul tells Cope that he has been asked to see a plastic surgeon, and Cope gives him the go-ahead to do so. The next day, the two techs from before go to Saul's house and start making the changes Caprice told them to make to the autopsy unit. In the meantime, Saul goes to a plastic surgeon, who tells him to put a zipper in his stomach. With this, he can show the crowd his newly grown organ whenever he wants. Saul doesn't hesitate and agrees to go under the knife. When he gets home from the surgery, he shows Caprice how the new zipper works. Surprisingly, she likes the zipper so much that she kneels down and starts licking it, which makes Saul happy. In the next scene, Saul goes to the jail to ask Juna about her son Brecken. He meets Juna there. Still not sorry for what she did, the crazy woman says that her son was not a normal person but a monster. He used to easily eat things like plastic and other things that were bad for him. Juna also says that his father Lang, who is a member of a rebel group, made him on purpose. This group is known for tinkering with innards and changing other parts of the body. Lang, on the other hand, goes into a building that looks like a factory. There, his friends are hard at work making candies out of plastics and other toxic wastes. Here, we learn that the unknown guy at the bar died because he ate something that was poisonous. Lang then talks to his co-workers and tells them that he will soon tell the public about his son's unique ability to digest plastic. The next day, Caprice goes to an art show where a woman cuts her face and leaves scars. Caprice is blown away by the scars and how elegantly they were made. Later, the woman who is acting comes up to her and asks her to make changes to her face. Caprice gives it a quick thought and agrees. After that, she goes home with a scar on her forehead that has been changed, and Saul seems to like it. Caprice tells him that she wants to be in charge of the autopsy on Brecken, and he agrees to let her. The couple goes to Lang's house later that day to see Brecken's dead body. When she sees how innocent he looks, Caprice starts to worry and has second thoughts about the autopsy. But Lang tells her that it's okay and that he just wants to say something to the people. His main goal is to stop the government from going after people who believe in evolution. Lang also talks to Saul about his trouble eating and gives him a candy bar to help. The second one isn't sure if he should eat it, so he just keeps it in his pocket. Lang then talks about how the people in his group changed their gut systems so they could eat and digest plastic. He also tells them that his son, Brecken, was the only person born with a natural gut system that could take nutrients from plastic. The couple is shocked by the news, which makes them even more determined to do the autopsy. The scene then jumps to the day of the show. Timlin, Lang, and a few other people are in the crowd as Caprice starts the autopsy on the dead boy. People are looking forward to seeing something different inside Brecken's body because the show has been heavily promoted. But to everyone's surprise, Caprice finds out that the boy has a normal digestive system like everyone else. Lang is speechless, and when he realizes how badly his plan has failed, he storms out of the place. Then he sits down on the stairs and starts to cry. Soon after that, he was approached by two technicians who said they worked for the equipment company. At first, they try to comfort him, but when he isn't paying attention, they use power drills to kill him. This proves beyond a doubt that they also work for the government. Saul meets Detective Cope after the show and asks him if anyone messed with Brecken's body. The detective says with confidence that he changed the boy's organs, because he didn't want the public to know about how humans have changed over time. Timlin was the one who helped him complete this mission. Cope tells Saul, who can't believe what he's hearing, that Lang's friends have taken care of him. Now, there won't be any revolutions to worry about. When Saul hears this, he gets angry because he had started to feel sorry for Language. The poor man just wanted people to know about his kind so they would treat them like normal people. So, Saul doesn't want to keep working for Cope and leaves the place. The next day, even though he is sitting in his special chair, it is hard for him to feed himself. The pain inside his body is getting worse, and he can't move his limbs the right way. Saul tries one of the candy bars that Lang gave him before when nothing else works. Surprisingly, the pain in his body goes away as soon as he takes the first bite. Then, Saul looks into Caprice's eyes, smiles, and tears up. This means that Saul's body has also changed, and he can now eat toxic waste. The movie ends with Saul sitting still on the chair which has stopped moving. Share your thoughts in the comments, give us a like and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next videos.